Come on now, what makes you think that this one is not true, okay? What makes you think that he wasn't talking to a 14-year-old boy, huh? Oh, there's no receipt saying I'm 14 years old. My age is on the internet.
And he wanted to fly me out to LA. And that kind of freaked me out because at that point I was pretty sure I was straight.
Oh my God, you tried to trick a straight man into thinking he's gay yet again, and somehow you're the victim.
You're 21 years old and you want a 14-year-old?
I'm desperate.
It's just crazy how YouTube won't let this get out there. Honestly, he deserves to be stopped, and this is not right, but these videos will come out soon, and I will make sure of it, because this is not right.
I also want to make it clear, too, that through uploading this video today, my hope and my expectations are not to, you know, press post and then forget about it and move on and wash my hands as if nothing happened, because something did happen. And what happened was not okay, and I don't want to just forget about it.
I'm just trying to help others out there because there's a lot of kids that are my age that think it's awesome that James Charles is asking Adam on Snapchat, but in reality he's trying to make you think that you are something you're not.
I'm not physically attracted to older guys, which sucks. Like, I would date like the absolute youngest.
Because this behavior is not normal, it's not okay. Cracking someone's sexuality is not an escape room.
And I hope you guys know that I can't really be like out in the open and show you guys all of the DMs that I've seen and the DMs that I have and received, because if there are lawyers involved and there is a case, I don't want to ruin anything by showing anything.
Well, I have the receipts.
Oh yeah.
Hi guys, what is up? What is good? What is Gucci? It is your girl Paige Christie here, bringing you yet another video. Now, as you guys know, I have documented James Charles extensively on this channel because I cannot stand the guy. I feel as if James Charles has been able to get away with what I believe most people will be imprisoned for. And I believe that his repeated harmful behavior is at the detriment to the lives of multiple individuals. However, he's been able to get past all of his drama scot-free. And I say that in a sense of he hasn't lost his livelihood. He is still an influencer on social media. He hasn't lost his influence. He lost it momentarily, but he has regained that back. He hasn't lost anything monetarily. He is still financially comfortable and stable. And judging by how everybody on social media has been so easy to move past these situations, he hasn't seemed to have lost any friends. Isn't that right, Manny MUA? However, a couple of days ago, Cosmopolitan decided to write an article about James Charles in lieu of his new makeup launch for his new collection called Painted. Now, typically when there is a makeup launch or a product launch of any kind, you will expect to see media coverage on social media, advertisements, etc., ahead of the launch to get everybody excited and hyped for the next project. However, what I wasn't expecting was an article that not only would be about the launch and how he's, you know, maneuvering through the YouTube streets, but also about his past indiscretions with little to zero acknowledgement. The article was wrote by a person called Gabrielle Bluestone, and the title of the article is James Charles Would Like to Be Uncancelled, Please. And I have a simple answer to that question. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not, as God is my witness, no. Now, there have been multiple people who have spoken about this article and how it is a complete and utter puff piece in order to make James Charles look as if he's been absolved from all of his sins. But that's not really what today's video is about. We will be touching on the article, but I want to introduce you to a whole new person. A teenager by the name of Ethan. Now, if you guys remember, sometime in 2021, I sure as hell do, there was a young boy called Ethan who came forward on social media to basically tell everybody that he was allegedly being groomed by James Charles. Now, when this happened on social media, it was met with a lot of anger from the community. People blamed and condemned Ethan for basically telling his version of his truth. They blamed him for not being able to make adult decisions as a minor. They blamed him for allegedly lying about his age to an adult. They blamed him for engaging in sexual conversations with an adult, and basically spammed his social media and his friends at the time social media so much that they had to restrict all access across all social media platforms. And Ethan did eventually take down his social media profile that boasted over 340,000 followers on TikTok. This little boy, who at the time alleges that he was 14 years old, and I've been able to verifiably prove that, which I will a little bit later, was completely ran off the internet and called a liar. In the wake of so many people who were the victims of abuse and sexual abuse and grooming and all of that kind of stuff, Colleen Ballinger, looking at you, it is absolutely infuriating to me, and has been infuriating to me several times. You can go back in my videos and take a look at how I have spoken about this situation. It has always infuriated me the way that many people on social media, including colleagues of mine, have spoken about Ethan and this whole situation, and basically did the hush hush shush shush for James Charles on his behalf, because James Charles sent them DMs that led many commentators to believe that James Charles was the victim, when in reality James Charles is only the victim of himself and his sexual endeavors and interests, and we will be discussing that shortly. Now, this video isn't going to be my usual style of video. It's not going to be structured at all. I think it is better if I just go off the top of my dome and speak to you guys honestly and truthfully as I possibly can, outline with as much evidence it is that I can find, and honestly exonerate this 14-year-old child whose innocence was taken away allegedly by James Charles. Now, I will also say that I have a bias in this situation, not a bias towards James Charles or Ethan, the young boy, but a bias because Ethan's story deeply resonates with me, as we have very similar stories at very similar ages. So forgive me if I get a little bit heated in today's video, but I'm gonna try my best to be as relaxed as possible. So with that being said, let's start today's video. Okay, so who is Ethan? From what we can see from famous websites such as Famous Birthdays, Ethan was born on the 7th of September 2005. Known on social media as Ethan Andrews, that is not his real name. However, he is from Dallas, Texas in the United States of America. At present, Ethan is 17 years old. I know this because upon searching for Ethan on social media, I was able to find out that Ethan is actually some kind of high school football star and is very well known within the area. In an article wrote in 2021, they detail Ethan as a standout sophomore star of his particular school. Now, if you are a sophomore, you are between the ages of 15 and 16, meaning that at the time that this article was wrote, Ethan would have been between the ages of 15 and 16 years old. Now, Ethan isn't some kind of unknown individual. He actually rose to popularity within the year of 2019 through the social media platform TikTok, where he amassed over 340,000 followers. He also had quite a prominent social media presence on the platform Instagram, in which he had over 28,000 followers there. He was known as a somewhat attractive young man who had fans of his own. There was multiple young girls that I found when searching for Ethan who made fan pages and fan videos for Ethan. He had his very own designated fan base. He was known for posting satirical videos, prank videos, as well as some thirst traps, I guess. He launched his YouTube channel on the 1st of May 2019, and that channel amassed approximately 8,000 subscribers. His YouTube description used to read as follows: "Thanks for stopping by my channel. 14-year-old making dope videos for you beautiful humans. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. I promise you won't regret it. Smiley face." Now, Ethan became a very controversial figure for James Charles because Ethan came out with receipts and proof alleging that he had been talking to James Charles for quite some time. He stated that whilst knowing that he was a minor, James Charles would send him photographs of him himself in the nude as well as videos of himself in the nude. Ethan stated that it was actually him who reached out to James Charles first, on a whim, on a dare by his friends.
Alright, so about a couple months ago, back in March, I would say, one of my homeboys were on James Charles Live, and he was like, bro, like, join this, like, let's just troll. And, like, we were just putting random stuff and just trolling, and my friend was like, yo, like, I bet you won't DM him. And I wasn't thinking anything of it. I said, alright, bet, I'm gonna DM him. So I DM him, and I guess the next day he responds and he tells me, why do you keep texting me? And I was like...
He detailed that his interaction with James was supposed to be a joke or a troll. However, it just kind of got deeper and deeper and went too far.
And me not knowing anything, like, I just think that's cool. Like, James Charles, like, 18, 17 million followers, like, wants me to add him on Snap. Like, not even in a clout way. Like, I'm just saying, like, that's dope. Like, an influencer. Like, everybody knows who he is pretty much. I was like, that's awesome. And so, I thought it was cool. And he just started getting a little too comfortable with me and just pushing it over the limits, knowing I was underage. And I started talking to him about it, and he didn't really believe it until he saw it with his own eyes. James Charles being so pushy and just making me feel uncomfortable to the max. And I honestly, like, he was like, I guess he was trying to get me into thinking I was bisexual or gay, whatever he wants to, whatever y'all want to call it. But he was asking me to send him nudes, and he kept wanting me to go to LA, and he kept sending me nudes. I kept just sending me a picture back. I didn't respond. I just literally sent a picture back to me, and he would leave it on open and then snap me like a few hours later, sending me another picture of his like ass, you know. I'm just gonna say it, like, it made me feel super uncomfortable. And so yeah, like, honestly, like, I'm not making this video to cancel him.
Not long into their Instagram DMs, he states that James asked him to add him on Snapchat, and he also provided evidence that the two of them were friends on the app. Not long after going onto Snapchat, he claims that James Charles would frequently send him nude photographs, nude videos, and would frequently ask him to travel over to hang out with him in Los Angeles, of which he obviously declined.
I'm just trying to help others out there because there's a lot of kids that are my age that I think it's awesome that James Charles is asking to add him on Snapchat, but in reality he's trying to make you think that you are something you're not. And I don't want that happening to anybody else. And to all the parents and everybody watching this video, I'm trying to help you out for the future with your kids.
Still continue to try to force yourself on a little kid. So my thing is, like, I don't know, I just don't think that's cool. That's disgusting. You're 21 years old and you want a 14-year-old?
Now, allegedly, according to Ethan, once he asked James Charles to stop sending him photographs as it was making him uncomfortable, he alleges that James Charles then threatened him.
Threatening him, saying you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, just so he's your little toy so you can play with him whenever you want, is not cool at all. And there definitely should be consequences for it.
And he claims that this gave him much anxiety as James was on a podcast, on Logan Paul's podcast, where he was talking about an interaction with a potential prospective lover, and Ethan felt as if in that interview that James Charles was speaking about him.
Well, this is a better example than just a dinner. Like, I've talked to guys that live in different states and stuff, and I'm like, hey, like, why don't you come visit? And like, well, I can't afford a plane ticket. Yep. And it's like, okay, well, I can. So like, get on the plane. And like, well, I just don't really feel comfortable with that. But like, I love you and I really want to be together. And I'm like, well, we can't be together because you can't afford a plane ticket. You're probably still in either high school or college, like a senior in high school or in college. Right. So like, either you accept the flight and realize that like, this is what I'm bringing to the relationship so we can spend time together if you actually care about me. Yep. Or we literally never meet because you can't afford it.
That's frustrating. Right. That's right. So it's a leap for them. It has to be.
He states that made him feel nervous, and that's why he felt as if James might actually go through with his threatening allegations, allegedly. Now, why does this story even matter? Well, because this young boy, Ethan, basically got ran off the internet. Up until approximately 6 months ago, we haven't seen Ethan post to social media at all. And that was because when Ethan came forward with his story, he wasn't believed by the public at large, as well as commentary and drama channels, because James Charles had decided to send numerous different drama channels screenshots of the conversation it is that he had with Ethan via Instagram. Now, numerous commentators spoke about seeing these messages, but nobody was willing to share said messages. And commentators such as Spill Sesh and others had spoken openly about seeing these messages from James Charles.
And I hope you guys know that I can't really be like out in the open and show you guys all of the DMs that I've seen and the DMs that I have and received, because if there are lawyers involved and there is a case, I don't want to ruin anything by showing anything.
Well, I have those DMs and I'm going to read them out to you now. March 18th at 2:20 p.m. Ethan sends a photo. James Charles sends a photo back. I was just trying to shoot my shot, but I guess I'll leave you alone. James Charles responds, I was just asking a simple question, lol. And you screenshotted that snap, which leads me to believe you were not shooting your shot, rather messaging me just to try and start something or lead me on. Lol. Also, you said, hey, and what you doing? Neither of those messages come off as you shooting your shot. Well, you have 3 photos, no stories, and none of your other social medias listed, so I have no way of knowing anything about you at all. Lol. How old are you? Then he sent a photo. Then James sent a photo back. Then on a different day, Ethan sent a photo that says, yo. Then James Charles does rolling eyes emoji and says, lol, back again? Nah, just got something to say. Question mark? Someone sent me that podcast of you and Logan. Kind of felt like shame was thrown. At you? Question mark? Yeah. I promise I haven't even thought about you since the time you blocked me on Snapchat for the 3rd time. Shit's just kind of strange. How everything you had to say on that podcast was kind of everything I told you. About family problems, etc. No, it was actually about a Romanian boy that I was talking to from LA a few weeks ago. As I said, I haven't thought about you. Then Ethan sends a photograph. You can believe what you want, but this wasn't about you, but clearly the shoe fits. Enjoy your night. Stop lying, we were friends. How are you gonna come into my DMs accusing me of speaking about you on a podcast where I talked about a guy that I was talking to that didn't work out and then 5 minutes later say that we didn't talk? We didn't talk, you exaggerated, hella. You said that you were bisexual and you were into me because I was beautiful. Laugh my ass off. I'm sorry that you're insecure and embarrassed about your sexuality. Hell nah. Have a nice night. Scandal time? Question mark? Go for it, bud. I did nothing wrong. Enjoy your night and life. You never asked me for my age. You sent a minor nudity. You told me that you were 18 and I don't send nudes to anyone, so no, I didn't, lol. Laugh my fucking ass off. No, I didn't. You always lie. You are known for making straight guys fuck you, but I didn't know that you didn't care if they were minorities. I think he meant minors. Lol, I hope you find something better to do with your evening. I don't even look 18. Come on now, James. Stop lying. You sound dumb. Like you said, have a nice night. Those are the messages that were sent to numerous different drama content creators as well as commentators, leading many of the people within the commentary community to believe that this guy just really wanted to get James and get a scandal. And I, to some degree, could understand why they would think that. I don't understand why they bypassed that it doesn't matter because it's still a kid, but I do at least understand why they would have that thought process. Because a lot of people thought to themselves, why would James Charles, somebody with such a huge platform, do something so insidious, so crazy, so disgusting, like send nudes to a minor? Especially if he's been called out once or twice before, Tati Westbrook, Jeffree Star, etc., for doing inappropriate things with men.
And he wanted to fly me out to LA. And that kind of freaked me out because at that point I was pretty sure I was straight.
Oh my God, you tried to trick a straight man into thinking he's gay yet again, and somehow you're the victim. You know, it's really disgusting to manipulate someone's sexuality, especially when they are still, emerging into adulthood and don't quite have everything figured out. You are using your fame, your power, your money to play with people's emotions. You're threatening to ruin them. You're threatening to embarrass them. And you're doing that to have them behave sexually in your favor, even if they're straight. And you know what? That's not okay. That behavior is not okay. Whether you're a woman, a man, gay, straight, bi, whatever sexual orientation you are, that is your personal call, and it is not someone else's to take. It's not someone else's to play with. It's not someone else's to mess with. And how dare you laugh about it and make meme after meme and retweet and this and that and I love straight boys, and make it a joke. Because this behavior is not normal, it's not okay. Cracking someone's sexuality is not an escape room.
Well, this claim was further backed up by somebody called Reagan. I think her name is Reagan777 on TikTok. A random TikToker who came up to vouch for James Charles because she states that she knows who Ethan is and has met and spoken to him before in the past, and knew that Ethan lied about his age because he lied to her. This is what Reagan had to say back in 2020.
Okay, I don't like getting in drama. I don't like getting in drama, but if I see something that I don't like, something that's not true, a fabricated statement, I'm gonna speak up on it, especially if I know the people personally. So these two guys, Ethan and Zay, are trying to claim that James Charles baited them. And people are believing them, as they do on social media. What I think is funny about it is that a month ago, they texted me, since I've known them for 2 or 3 years now. They live a good 20-30 minutes away from me. I've never met them personally, but we've been social media friends for a fat minute. James commented on one of my videos and they saw it, so they FaceTimed me. Keep in mind, the only time they've ever reached out to me is whenever I've hit a success or I've hit another milestone, which is also really funny. But they saw that James commented on one of my videos. It was a transition video and he gave me a compliment. Obviously, I'm a fangirl, so I was freaking out. So Ethan and Zay snap call me. I answered the call and they're like, hey, we saw that James commented on your video. Like, that's super cool. And I was just freaking out. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, he did. And then Ethan was like, well, I actually talked to James. And Zay was like, yeah, he talks to James. And I was like, oh, like, that's so cool, whatever. And then he proceeded to tell me that he DM'd him and that James actually responded and he thought that was crazy. He's telling me how it was so cool that James had talked to him and that they Snapchatted each other. He was just basically bragging about how James talks to him and how he flirts with James and all this stuff. He told me, he's like, I'm not gay, but like, it's James Charles, so I'm gonna flirt with him. Keep in mind, Ethan has told me before that he's 17 about to turn 18. All of a sudden, he's 14. So when I hear that he told James that he was 14, and then I saw that James posted screenshots saying he's 18, I believed it, because he lied to me about his age. I think it's funny that in his video, he's 14 or 15, either or, they're the same thing. And he's saying, well, he could have looked me up. I could have looked him up too, but I didn't, because that's weird. Who just goes and looks people up? I'm sorry, I don't do that. Basically, Ethan claims that James baited him, James was sending him booty pics, and that he felt so uncomfortable. He felt like his family's life was in danger because he was being hit on after he DM'd someone, saying that he was trying to shoot his shot, knowing their sexuality, lying about their age. But in his video, he says everything opposite of what actually happened, and I know because he told me. So I saw on Snapchat Drama Alert the video clips from Ethan's video he made telling the story about James Charles and what happened. I'm not even lying when I say I looked at that video like this, because a month ago they had told me exactly what happened and it was nothing that they were saying in the video. They were conscious about the whole situation. So whenever I saw that Snapchat, I sent it to him. I screenshotted it and I sent it to him. I sent it to Ethan on Snapchat. I don't have his number saved because I just thought they were sketchy in the first place. He opened my screenshot that I sent him, left it on red, and I replied again. I was not about to let someone get canceled for something that didn't even happen just because they want a little bit of clout. And I sent him a bunch of question marks, didn't answer. So then the next day I Snapchatted him, this is yesterday, and I said, why are you lying about this to get clout? I'm blocked. Then I go on my DMs and like, maybe I can find something about it in Zay's DMs on Instagram because he always DMs me. I'm blocked. So if y'all want to believe Ethan and Zay, y'all can, but whenever I try to confront them about it because they told me what happened, they blocked me. Isn't that like a little bit sketchy? Just a tiny bit sketchy that they blocked me.
See, this is the part that like really annoys me, because we're expecting a minor to act like an adult. Like, whilst we can understand that a minor definitely put themselves in an adult situation, it doesn't mean it is their fault that the situation took place. Regardless of whether he lied about his age or didn't, it really doesn't make any difference, like, at all. Because teenagers lie about their age. I remember walking into bargain booths at 16 years old to try and get alcohol. I remember going clubbing and reciting the age 1988 so that the nightclub owners would let me inside the clubs. Kids are gonna lie. However, it is up to us as adults to do our due diligence when it comes to stuff like this. And James Charles didn't, despite this guy having a large following, despite this guy's name being easily accessible on social media, despite his age being easily accessible on social media. Despite all of that, James Charles didn't do his due diligence at the very minimum. If we're not to believe that he knew the age of this kid, that he knew that he wasn't 18, like Ethan alleges that he knew his age before any kind of discussion took place between the pair of them. However, if we were to completely invalidate that and say that he didn't know because the child lied, who cares? He's a child. And then we're like, oh, he blocked me. Isn't that a little bit suspicious? No, Reagan, that's not suspicious. That is acting like a child. That is a child getting into an adult situation, not knowing how to cope and function with the situation and the things that's going on and the backlash it is that he's facing on social media, and blocking every single person who has anything to do with it. And you making numerous videos vouching for what we now know is a self-admitted person who has engaged with minors in an inappropriate way did not make the situation any better. I wonder, Reagan, if you went out of your way to reach out to Ethan and co and apologize to that young boy for invalidating his claims and invalidating his stories, when we now know since 2022, when James Charles came back with his taking accountability video, that he admits that he was desperate and that's why he did those things.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let someone get canceled for something they didn't do, especially if you lied about your age. Everything Ethan and Zay said in the video is the complete opposite from what they told me. It's very clear what they're trying to do, and it's disgusting. Wouldn't you think James, out of all people, and after everything that happened last year, he'd be a little bit cautious about who he talks to? So why would he go knowing that his career could just be ended like that and talk to a 14-year-old? It's pretty clear he lied about his age. He did it to me too. The only reason I felt obligated to speak on this is because I know them and they told me to my face on Snap FaceTime what was happening, and they made a video and lied about everything. There's a little bit more things that make it clear that they're lying, but maybe I'll go live or something about it later. I don't know. I don't like drama, so probably not, but maybe. I'm not gonna put their ads. They don't deserve any clout, especially for doing this. So if y'all wanna go find them, y'all can. But just know, I know they're lying. I'm pretty sure James has posted screenshots proving that they're lying. But that's it. Kinda. They're lying.
You came over and you muddied the water for everybody, making it impossible for commentators and drama content creators to cover the story appropriately, making it impossible to believe this young boy. And he was one of the first people who came out, by the way, one of the first minors to come forward with their story. We've listened to every other minor since then as a community. Everybody pretty much is of the same thought process that James Charles was inappropriate with minors at some point, and in the way that he admits that he is. We are all of the same general consensus, right? But back then there was no consensus and there was only one voice, and you invalidated that voice. You victim shamed a victim. No, Reagan, you will do anything for clout. Anything for clout. Even invalidating the story of a minor's encounter with an adult where explicit images and photographs and videos were sent between them. That's what you did for clout, to get your name involved in the story, because you know these people, because they lied to you. That means that you don't know these people. If I'm finna lie to somebody, I'm finna lie to somebody I don't know. Now, this was obviously on the heels of Ethan making his own video detailing the situation. Ethan speaks openly and candidly about his relationship with James Charles, how it all fell apart, and how he doesn't want anything like this to happen again. In the original video of which he released, he showed blurred videos and images, as well as text messages and conversations with James Charles, which for me is the most compelling and damning ones of them all. Now, as of this moment of recording, Ethan's video has been taken down from his channel completely. And the only recorded version of this video is of somebody who is a detractor who leaves like little red annotations, basically like anytime he says anything to kind of contradict him. So if we can just ignore that for a moment and just focus on the actual visuals that we are being shown here, because this is what was in the original video that Ethan put on to his channel. Take a look. So after all of this took place, Ethan, as well as the friend who was in the video to help him for moral support, because again, he's 14 years old at this time, they were ran off social media, right? Ethan has not had a social media for God knows how long. He wasn't uploading to Instagram. He wasn't uploading onto his TikTok. In fact, he took his entire TikTok channel down with over 340,000 people on there, and he just left the internet entirely. If you were to go over to his friend and his Instagram, you will see there was so many people bombarding them with clown emojis, calling them snakes, calling them liars. And if I have some receipts, I will post them on the screen. They were getting bombarded left, right, and center by merely telling their story and telling their truth. Again, what I do want to note is this was one of the first allegations of, you know, minors coming forward saying that James Charles had been inappropriate with them. So why does this all matter? Why am I speaking about this particular James Charles case? There have been numerous different James Charles cases. Why is this one the one that I've chosen to talk about and the one that has really just ticked me off the most? Well, because we're going to circle back to the Cosmopolitan interview. Now, again, we all know that this Cosmopolitan interview is an absolute shit show, a massive puff piece, nothing to be read into. It was basically the journalist saying, I don't know nothing, I did no research, but he seems like a pretty good guy. Sources cited a crack pipe. In the article, they addressed the numerous scandals about James Charles and the alleged minors, who came forward to basically say that James Charles had been inappropriate with them. And in this article, they basically talked to James Charles about it. And James Charles's response was very interesting to me. February 2021, at age 21, James Charles confronted a career crisis that he could not quickly apologize for or capitalize on. He was publicly accused of sending lewd photographs and inappropriate sexual messages to a then 16-year-old fan. Charles says that he was misled into believing that the boy was 18 and that he blocked him as soon as he learned about the truth. I've never been more disgusted in my own life than when I found out that that kid was 16 years old, Charles says now. I was mortified, absolutely mortified. The fan did not return Cosmopolitan's request for comment. That's not the gotcha you think it is. The allegation triggered more complaints against Charles. They were primarily disseminated in the form of TikToks filled with screenshots of flirtatious conversations Charles had allegedly conducted with a number of male fans. A few reported accusations, like the initial one, were serious and claimed to detail inappropriate online interactions between Charles and minors. Other claims included an incident in which Charles allegedly called someone daddy, felt a little bit muddier. Almost all of them were eventually rounded up into a viral Twitter thread by a controversial poster who keeps track of internet scandals, who is now under fire himself. And in this link, they link to like the downfall of Deaf Noodles, which is a completely different article by a completely different person. The Rise and Fall of Deaf Noodles, a breakdown, which was wrote in August 2022. And I guess the person who wrote this article did this in this particular way in order for us all to think, well, oh, the person who made this compilation isn't to be trusted because, look, they have stories of their own. Everybody has had terrible situations take place on their time within YouTube, every content creator. And I think that Deaf Noodles would attest to the fact that he himself acted terribly and inappropriately the back end of 2022. However, what he did versus what James is alleged to do are two completely different things. We are comparing apples to oranges. We are comparing allegations of inappropriate behavior, sexual content, nudity, etc. with minors versus some dude going a little bit weird and psycho on the internet for a little while. Calling people names on the internet does not level to me as equally yoked with those kind of allegations. But, you know, it doesn't matter, it's just Deaf Noodles. Deaf Noodles actually did sit down and make a video about how he feels that this article has used him as a way to like detract from the numerous allegations against James Charles, and honestly, I wholeheartedly agree with Dennis.
This article is supposed to be James taking accountability and trying to present himself as a changed person. So I was very confused when I saw that I was brought up in this article in the fashion in which I was, essentially being blamed for all that information being out there. Yes, I made two mistakes covering the James Charles situation. I covered one allegation that was false. It was a joke. I didn't do my due diligence in that one because it had literally #joke in the description. And I also covered another allegation that ended up being false, and the person ended up apologizing for making the false allegation 2 days later. In both instances, at the time, I tried my best to take accountability by deleting the posts and then apologizing immediately. I have since addressed this situation numerous times, and I will continue addressing it. But I think it goes without saying that I was very surprised that I was brought into this, because why would James want to attack my credibility, which I have none left? So I don't really think there's much to attack there. So props to you, James. But why would he feel the need to essentially use me as a scapegoat? Need I remind you, folks, that he confessed to 2 of the allegations. So it's not like they were all made up. 2 of those very serious allegations, he confessed to them. And his excuse for doing it was that he was desperate.
Anyway, the article continues. Yes, even the chronicling of this saga has been surreal and convoluted, and Cosmopolitan could not independently verify these messages, many of which have since been deleted. The screenshots of all of these alleged minors' messages do exist. They are available if you just look. But again, I don't want to get too hyper-focused on the article, because it is what is within this article that I believe is the part that we need to really pay attention to. In the end, substantiated or not, multiple media reports indicated that at least 15 boys and men had accused James Charles of inappropriate behavior. Charles says now about the breadth of allegations. The source of where this list was coming from was not doing any sort of research, no fact-checking. Now, in Def Noodles' video, he details the fact that he was just basically releasing these stories as they came out. Every single person who came up with a new allegation, it would be shocking news. A new person has come forward speaking about the James Charles allegation, and then the details of what the allegation was. It was not Def Noodles making the allegations, it was Def Noodles letting the world know that an allegation had been made. That does not inherently make Def Noodles responsible for said allegations. And granted, there were, I think, 2 or so allegations that weren't real, that were fake and falsified, or jokes or trolling, which definitely did muddy the investigation a little bit. However, Def Noodles simply releasing that these allegations were made does not really muddy the fact that there were so many freaking allegations. The fact that there were so many freaking allegations that people began to meme it also, to me, indicates that there is a big problem at hand. Some of the screenshots depicted consensual conversations between adults, he says. Others were completely fake and never happened. James Charles has never been legally charged with engaging inappropriately with a minor, let alone to have knowingly done so. Nevertheless, that April, James Charles uploaded a 14-minute video to YouTube titled "Holding Myself Accountable," where he admitted to inadvertently exchanging messages with at least 2 16-year-old boys he said he was led to believe were 18, and he apologized for that desperate behavior. James Charles said that he admitted to inadvertently exchanging messages with at least 2 16-year-old boys. What happened to Ethan? Ethan was not 16. He was never 16. In fact, he is turning 18 in September. He was never that age. What happened to Ethan? Do we not qualify Ethan as a factual resource, even though Ethan has videos that quite clearly, from any person who knows James Charles's figure, his body, the way it is that he likes to take photos, or even just the lighting in James Charles's bathroom, everybody knows that this was more than likely to have been James Charles. And if this 14-year-old boy has access to these videos and images, there is a problem. A lot of people on social media said, oh, well, I think Ethan was the other person who said that they lied about their age. Can't have been, because he was never 16. So there was 2 16-year-olds who he agrees that he had inappropriate messages with, who he agrees were under the age of 18 years old. And then there's Ethan, who he doesn't acknowledge at all. And why is that? That's because Ethan is significantly younger. Ethan at the time was 14 years old. verifiably 14 years old. Ethan was in high school. Ethan more than likely was in year 8, possibly year 9. Ethan had nowhere near completed high school. Ethan, I believe, at the direction of James Charles, sending these messages to drama channels to prove, oh, I did ask the age, led people to believe that he was lying on James Charles and ran this boy off the internet, bringing him to tears on his own Instagram stories.
Everybody that has seen the James Charles video and has commented on that post, on that video, talking about where's the facts, where's the receipt saying that you were 14. I don't have the receipts. I told him on FaceTime, I told him on Snapchat. I have like a 3-second video of us being on FaceTime. Okay, I am 14 years old. I have 330,000 followers on TikTok. I'm not trying to be arrogant. My age is on the internet. Okay, it says 15. It's a 1-year difference. I'm still a minor. I'm still underage. My age is on the internet. Okay, if he really wanted to look that deep into it, he could have looked up my age. I told him my age. He knew my age. So to everybody saying, where's the receipts? I don't have the receipts. I have the receipts of him wanting to fly me out though. I have the receipts of all of that. Okay, he was trying to flip it on me, saying that I said I was 18 years old. I didn't say I was 18 years old. Okay, he talked about me on Logan Paul's podcast and texted him asking if there was shade being thrown at me. You know what? He said no. He was talking about some Romanian boy. Okay, first of all, it's crazy how that Romanian boy said everything I was saying to him, making all those excuses. I was uncomfortable. I didn't want to come see you alone. I had my homeboy. I asked my homeboy if he would come with me because I didn't want to be with you alone. Because you sent me nudes. And every time you sent me nudes, I left you unopened. And you know what? You would get mad or you would snap me back. You would continue snapping me. Okay? I was scared. I didn't know what to do. Alright? I had mixed emotions. I didn't know what to do. All I wanted to do was be friends, okay? Yes, people are talking about how me and my friend were on there just putting troll comments. Our comments weren't bad. We were putting random emojis. Nothing wrong with putting random emojis. I didn't put nothing making fun of gay people. I didn't do any of that, okay? I didn't do one thing of that. So for everybody saying I'm queer baiting, whatever y'all want to call it, I'm not. I wanted a friendship with this dude. He kept taking it too far. I didn't know what to do. I was stuck in a position where I didn't know what to do. So for everybody saying, oh, where's the receipt? Saying, oh, you were 14 years old. I don't have it. I don't have the receipts. At the time, I wasn't thinking this would happen. I started feeling uncomfortable and I thought I would have to come out to the public talking about this whole situation because there might be kids out there my age that this has happened to and they want to get it out, but they're too afraid. So I'm standing up for myself just as well as these other kids that it's probably happened to. Come on now, Jay. What makes you think that this one is not true, okay? What makes you think that he wasn't talking to a 14-year-old boy, huh? Oh, there's no receipt saying I'm 14 years old. My age is on the internet. I am a public figure. I have 330,000 followers on TikTok. I have a fan base. I have people that care about me. He knew my TikTok. I have little girls commenting on my Instagram. There's no one older than 18 in my Instagram comments. I don't have facial hair. I don't have any facial hair. You see that? No, I don't look 18 years old. Like, what are you talking about? I'm sick of everybody accusing me for all of this. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm trying to help you out if this has ever happened to you. I'm trying to speak out so all these other kids will speak out like I said. I'm just trying to help everybody. I'm sick of this. Like, come on, when are we all gonna come together and cancel this dude? He deserves to be in prison. Come on now, my age is on the internet, like I said. And for everybody talking about this should have been done behind the screen, police authorities, all that, I'm trying to get this out there. So just in case your daughter, your son, maybe yourself is dealing with this, I'm trying to get kids to speak out on this situation. That's the only thing I'm trying to do. I put my socials in the bio because maybe people want to check me out, you know? Like, you never know. Like, honestly, I put my friend's channel in the bio. Like, what's so wrong with that? That's me clout chasing? What are you talking about? I don't want nothing to do with this. I was trying to help kids out, and I'm getting hate for that. I'm getting hate for it. And I'm just sick of this, you know? Yeah, there's no proof of me saying 14. But James Charles said I was 18. Where's the proof for that? I never said it. The world may honestly never know, but I promise you, I am 14 years old. I told him my age. Where is his receipt of me saying I'm 18 years old? Why are you not talking about that? Why y'all not talking about the receipts of him saying I'm 18 years old? There is none. There's none for me either. It just happened. We didn't think it would get this far. He thought he could take advantage of me. I'm smarter than that. Come on now, y'all. And I was on the phone with this dude. I was on the phone with James Charles when he was talking about, he was looking through my tags, okay? My tags show me I'm little in my tags. Like I look like a little kid in my tags. I look like a little boy. He was looking through my tags and he called me cute on FaceTime with me, looking through my Instagram tags. I look like a little boy. Like, come on now, James. What do you, oh my God. Oh my God.
Okay, so I want to take you back to James Charles's video, Taking Accountability, where he speaks about the allegations against him and states that he was desperate. Let's go back and take a look at a particular section of that video that I think is very pertinent to this situation, before we go forth and read what he's doing now.
And I had the mentality that I could reach out to literally anybody and use my Explore page and For You page as a dating app, and eventually I would just happen to find the right person, but that's just not how dating works, literally at all. It's gross, it's weird, and it's desperation.
So as you can see in this section, James Charles details the fact that using his For You page and Instagram Explore page as a dating website was inappropriate and, in his words, desperate, and he realizes that now. He also goes on to say a little bit later that he won't be using them as his dating mechanisms. Take a look.
Embarrassing, and I'm ashamed, but like I said, I'm now educated and fully understand what went on. And I'm making a promise to all of you right now on camera that I will be way more careful moving forward with every single person that I speak to. My For You page and Explore page are not dating apps, and I will stop treating them as if they are.
Okay, so we saw from this clip that James Charles has stated that he needs to show growth by his actions and not just his words, and that from this point forward, he promised us as an audience that he would not be using his Instagram Explore page as well as his TikTok For You page, or like internet in general outside the parameters of dating websites, as a dating website. He made that promise to all of us as a community, his fans, you, I, his victims, the world. And I can say victims because James Charles details these individuals as victims in this video. He states, to the victims, I am sorry.
To the victims, I am so sorry.
So to James Charles's victims, to everybody, he made this promise. Well, in the article, it is that he had with Cosmopolitan, he actually says something vastly different. They state he's more cautious now, although not so much that he's given up on the DM sliding completely. You ain't given up on the DM sliding completely? Out of all of the things it is that you should have learned, that should have been the number one thing, that you shouldn't be going into people's DMs right now. It's not for you. You don't have good judgment. And he proves that he doesn't have good judgment in a little bit, so let's continue reading. Instead, he started requiring potential romantic interests to provide IDs before he'll engage. I'm a club bouncer at this point, he says, which even still hasn't stopped the occasional breach of trust. Earlier this year, a TikTok user shared snippets of a flirtatious conversation he had with Charles, in which Charles outlines his requirements for a boyfriend. Sliding into DMs number 1. Number 2, James Charles also tells me that he recently caught a 17-year-old boy trying to lie about his age by taking a digit out of his ID. The fact that you could even potentially be caught out with a 17-year-old is absolutely disgusting and disturbing to me. And something that somebody pointed out to me in one of my live streams, and I can't remember your name, so forgive me for that, but I am going to quote you right now. They said to me, why is it that as James Charles gets older, the people that he's interested in doesn't get older too? They stay the same age. And I ask that question because that is very worrying to me. For instance, when I was 25, I wouldn't date anyone under the age of 20. Why? Because they were kids to me. Now that I'm 31, I definitely wouldn't date anyone under the age of 25. Why? Because they're kids to me. So it kind of tends to like grow as you grow. Why is it that James Charles is now 24 years old and still has the potential to associate himself with a 17-year-old? And then somebody else pointed out it's because it's the Explore page and the For You page. These are algorithmic treasures within social media, because these pages are made up mostly of all of the things it is that you interact with the most. Right? So the fact that he's even using that as a dating profile, I will never understand, but it's curated purely on the things that you interact with the most. The Instagram Explore page for myself contains videos of women and men with locked hair. Why? Because I have locks and I'm interested in lock hair care. It has photographs of, baby shoots. Why? Because I do several different baby and family shoots and all that kind of stuff with my own family. Those are the things that I interact with the most. Those are the things that are so much more highly promoted to me. Same goes with my TikTok For You page. I am constantly, in terms of advertisements and everything, constantly bombarded with body shapers. Why? Because I fucking wear body shapers and I love them. I love body shapers. They're constantly promoting that to me all the time. They're promoting to me all of the drinks and juices that you can get from Water Talk. Why? Because I kind of got involved with Water Talk. It shows you the content it is that you engage with the most. So my question is, how on earth did you stumble upon a 17-year-old boy? Mr. Charles Dickinson. Mr. James Charles Dickinson. Because why is it that your Explore page and your For You page is giving you that kind of content? Why is it that you are aging up, but the kind of content it is that you're engaging with isn't? It is a problem, and it is worrying and troublesome. And the most disgusting part about this all is on the Beauty Guru Chatter thread on Reddit, posted 2 years ago. It says, alleged snapshot sent by James Charles to two 16-year-old fans. And in these photographs, you can see several photographs, and I'm not going to scroll down. You guys can go over to Beauty Guru Chatter and check it out yourself if you want to, of semi-naked photographs and naked photographs of the alleged 14-year-old boy that is now on Beauty Guru Chatter for the rest of time. Now, I wonder how anybody got their hands on such photographs that it was able to make its way to this mega thread. Because as far as I remember, this young boy did not post these photographs. So I don't know where these photographs came from. Could it have came from the same person who was sending multiple drama channels, DMs and conversations between himself and the alleged 14-year-old? Could it be that person? I say all this to say that I believe that James Charles isn't telling the truth about how many alleged victims it is that he may have been involved with. He admits to 2, but I believe that there is at least this third. That this 14-year-old, alleged 14-year-old boy was involved as well, this Ethan child. I believe that he felt that he got away with that and that he doesn't have to mention this one. Well, I'm not going to let it go. He sat down and he lied to all of us when he told the world that he was not going to be using his For You and Explore page as his personal dating sites, when he... And now, according to Cosmopolitan, he's a little bit more cautious now. Although not so much that he's given up on the DM sliding completely, meaning that he's still doing the same stuff, he's just got better at hiding it. One of the fundamental reasons that people didn't believe Ethan when he came forward with his story is that Ethan had decided to delete his part of the conversation between himself and James Charles when showing the screenshots. And a lot of people were like, that's damning. Oh my God, he must have lied and said so much to James Charles. And really, honestly, I think that you guys are absolutely bonkers and that it couldn't... Did you guys not think for one moment that it could just possibly be that he's embarrassed? And as we can see, there are naked photographs of this child as a minor on Reddit, which, by the way, Reddit, y'all need to take that down. Okay, there are naked photographs of this child on Reddit as we currently fucking speak, and he was terrified that those photos would make its way to the public domain. I think that is more plausible as to why he deleted. I think he was probably embarrassed for engaging in that kind of sexual content with a adult, with a social media person. I think he was probably unsure about his sexuality and unsure about what it was that he was doing. And he has the right to be unsure because he was young. He was 14 years old. When I think about stuff like this, I think about my son, I think about my daughter, and I think about how if this had been my child, I would want James Charles's head. I would want his head. And I sit down sometimes like dead ass and I fucking cry for that little boy. I cry for the innocence that has been taken away from him. I cry for the way that y'all, all of y'all on social media sat down and condemned him and said, you don't have enough evidence. Fuck you, we're not believing you. But y'all went on to believe the others. But none of you ever turned around and fucking circled back to Ethan. None of you ever turned around, circled back to Ethan and apologized to him. Because of his lack of evidence. There is an abundance of evidence now. An abundance. Years and years worth of evidence. So much so that everybody got so fucking angry with this article because the journalists didn't do their due diligence, because there is enough evidence to state that half of these stories were at least fucking fact. But there was too much evidence to ignore. You were so upset with this person. When a lot of y'all who sat down and made videos, a lot of y'all who sat down and condemned this kid publicly, socially, online, etc., y'all didn't circle back and apologize to him. So when James Charles details in this article that he hasn't had it easy and that he had such a hard time and it was so hard for him to pull himself up by his bootstraps as he lounges and sinks into his plush chair and his massive big marble island with a decanted jar of Oreos inside like the Kardashians, or maybe even possibly Vanderpump Rules. Whilst that kid is having a hard time, I think about this kid who's had to pull himself up by his bootstraps. He's had to walk into school knowing that everyone fucking knows about what took place, that his school friends probably don't even fucking believe him, that is trying to forge himself a really good and strong career within football, and he's so fucking talented, dude. I'm so fucking proud of you. And the saddest thing about it to me is that this little boy has grown up knowing and learning a very hard way that if you are a boy victim, that people just don't listen to you. And that they don't care. Well, Ethan, I never stopped caring. Because once upon a time, Ethan, I was you and nobody believed me either. So now, I don't feel bad for James Charles. I don't think he should be uncancelled. In fact, I think the guy deserves to be behind bars. There are numerous other influencers who have done less, who have lost their entire fucking careers. I mean, not to be that person, but EDP445 literally was involved in a sting operation in which he sent, you know, inappropriate messages to what he believed to be a minor that ended up actually being adults in a sting operation to set him up. And he lost his entire YouTube career because of that. He was never prosecuted. He was never formally charged with anything at all, but he still lost his career. Yet we have James Charles with numerous allegations, no prosecutions, but so many allegations that it is too much to deny. And he doesn't get to lose anything. He still has his platform. He still has his money. He still has everything. And he left that poor boy with nobody and nothing. For the past 3 years, I've had this photograph in the background of all of my videos because I didn't want to forget. And I didn't think that anybody else should forget about what James Charles did. And the reality is that I actually don't think that this should be here anymore. I think that I should just redo it and completely take out James Charles's name. And the reason I say this is because it's not even about James Charles. I don't want to forget about Ethan. So if every single time there is a new allegation, every single time there is something that comes up, every single time that James Charles starts searching the internet for people who can be their soulmates to send them DMs like they haven't learned a goddamn thing, I'm going to remember Ethan. And Ethan, if you're watching, I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas in August. And I would love the opportunity to be able to speak to you on or off the record. And with that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day or evening, whatever the hell it is that you are doing. And James Charles, I hope you have the worst. And until next time, you beautiful, amazing, badass bitches. Check in on your kids. Bye.
It's just crazy how YouTube won't let this get out there. Honestly, he deserves to be stopped, and this is not right. But these videos will come out soon, and I will make sure of it because this is not right.
I'm desperate.